My first question to you is relating to the news that CNN has broken about information that the US government received, the National Security Council then passed on to the Secret Service of a plot, an Iranian plot to assassinate the former President Donald Trump in retaliation for the assassination of Qasem Soleimani, the senior Iranian general that happened during the Trump administration. What can you tell us about this?
As you know, the Islamic Republic of Iran, immediately following the assassination of General Soleimani, tried to judicially and legally follow this assassination at Iranian courts, and at the same time, we have tried to make use of the international judicial and legal procedures in order to prosecute the perpetrators and advisors who helped this assassination. Accordingly, the Islamic Republic of Iran will make use of all legal potentials inside the country or at the international level in order to bring the perpetrators to the justice.
Let me just be sure I understand what you are saying. Are you categorically denying that Iran had any plans or any element of Iran, the Revolutionary Guard, an Iranian-backed militia, had any plans to try to assassinate Donald Trump?
As I put it very blatantly and openly, I told explicitly that we will resort to legal and judicial procedures and frameworks at the domestic level and international level in order to bring the perpetrators and military advisors of General Soleimani's assassination to justice.
But that means not violent measures. When you say legal and judicial measures, you are talking about international courts and things like that.
As I told you, we will only resort to Iranian and international legal and judicial procedures. Till now, we have done it, and this is our right, and of course, we will continue it. And the Americans openly said that they assassinated the senior Iranian military commander. So it is our natural right in order to follow this issue. And those who are accused in this case, they should be brought to justice in a just court.
CNN senior national security analyst Juliette Kayyem joins me now from Cambridge, Massachusetts. Good to have you back with us.
Thanks for having me.
So we have learned that the US Secret Service ramped up security around Donald Trump in recent weeks in response to intelligence indicating an Iranian plot to kill him. Now, sources say there are no known links to the assassination attempt on Trump Saturday, but that raises even more serious questions about how the shooter was still able to get a clear shot of the former president with all this additional security. What's your response to this?
That's exactly right. I mean, in some ways, this story just makes it worse because knowing that there were additional threats against the former president, though foreign, they did respond to that. So one has to believe that there was a greater security focus on Donald Trump, even at his rally, and yet the breach and the assassination attempt still occurred. Now, it is true, as you said, that the suspect, that the assassin has no known ties to any foreign intelligence agency. There'll be lots of speculation from all accounts coming out of the FBI and state authorities. This was a sort of loner, isolated 20-year-old with access to lots of guns. We don't quite know his motive. But even though these are two different stories, they sort of converge on the Secret Service in terms of knowing what they knew. How did such a seemingly obvious gap in their security planning remain unchecked?
Yeah, and of course, you and I have talked previously about the bewildering decision not to post a sniper on the roof of the building where that shooter was located. The Secret Service now saying that no one was put on that building because it was dangerously sloped. What do you say to that, given the shooter apparently had no issue with the angle of the roof?
Yeah, I don't even know what dangerously sloped means. I mean, does that mean that they're, that they can't get up there? Obviously, someone got up there who wasn't trained. But it's also like I was saying to myself, what century are we in? I mean, it's the 21st century. They couldn't have drones surveying each of these stuff. You don't have to necessarily put a physical body on it. You just want to make sure that someone else doesn't have access to it. And the sort of openness of the building, that he could get access either on the inside or outside and then remain on the rooftop. And it was only members of Donald Trump's, sort of the people who went to his rally. That was the first sort of visuals that then started to alert people that there was a danger on the rooftop. It was nothing that the Secret Service did.
Yeah, they certainly still need to answer many of those serious questions. Of course, meantime, there are still no leads on why this shooter, Thomas Matthew Crooks, a registered Republican, would have carried out this attempted assassination on Donald Trump. What more should the authorities be doing to try to establish a motive, particularly with this new intelligence relating to Iran, although no link has yet been made? But as you point out, I mean, there's going to be a lot of conspiracy theories about this, given the timing of this.
That's exactly right. There's going to be lots of people speculating on who he was and what his motivation were. What were the clues that we know, at least so far, are that he was isolated. He seemed to have no community. He had a job. He apparently told that job he was going to be returning on Monday. He'd asked for the day off. He didn't seem to have a network of ideological sort of kin. So it's hard to tell, he wasn't very involved with any political movement. Look, we've had cases like this before. In particular, we had a mass shooting in Las Vegas in which there's nothing that would tell you beforehand that this person was about to do something so violent or so dramatic. In a lot of the, say, for example, school shooting cases here in the United States, there's sort of a long trail of hints that someone's going to do something. But every once in a while, you get a case like this that sort of stumps everyone. At least that's where we are right now. Look, there's two types of sort of two types of groups or people that we worry about. So one is what I would call sort of the Proud Boys types, right? The people who are sort of joining groups, terrorist organizations, lots of ideological foundation behind what they're doing. And then there's a group that we sort of call the Lonely Boys, right? This is the groups that of sort of isolated 20-something, generally white men, access to guns, and they're not really tied to any movement. And I think we're going to find that may be the case here.
And Juliet, we are also learning that Crooks was seen at the metal detectors that were set up to enter the rally Saturday, acting strangely apparently, and police notified the Secret Service before Crooks got on that building rooftop. So how is it possible that this was not followed up by the Secret Service, or if it was, this Crooks even still ended up on the roof?
That's right. So he's apparently seen as suspicious and then sort of left alone. The fact that no one approached him, no one determined, was he a threat? Was he carrying any weapons? So then he leaves and then finds another position. The oddity of this is that it shows you that good security actually can work to deter a threat. He could not get through the metal detector. He knew he was armed. He could not get through it or closer. So then he recedes. The problem here is that no one is taking into account, well, he's not going away. He's just trying to find another place to shoot from. In terms of communication, the gap that we need to answer is that both people at the rally and law enforcement noticed him as suspicious, as well as then on the roof. That should have immediately triggered some sort of conduct by the Secret Service to protect the protectee better. Donald Trump was left exposed for some period of time, a couple minutes, in fact, after the first notification. And in that time, you really could have protected him much better.
Yeah, still a lot of serious questions to be answered. Juliet Kayyem, always a pleasure to chat with you. Many thanks.